Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Forum Dimitrik, Senior Counsel at Info Law Group and member of the Privacy Law section of the California Lawyers Association. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Hailun Ying. Hailun is the Senior Counsel, Head of Privacy at Roblox. She's a frequent speaker on privacy and cybersecurity related panels, and she's on the XCom Committee of the Privacy Law section. We are so thrilled to have you here today, Hailun. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Hi, Forum. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I hope you and all of our viewers are having a wonderful day as well.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be very thrilled to hear about your experience. To set the stage, unlike many of us who found our way to privacy, Hailun started her career in privacy. So Hailun, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your career path and career trajectory?
I was very lucky in the sense that I knew I wanted to do something related to corporate law. So during my 1L summer, I had an in-house position working in different kinds of corporate work, including commercial, IP transactions, corporate governance, compliance, and the like. During my 2L year, I developed an interest in privacy and took privacy courses as the whole world was gearing up for GDPR. For my 2L summer internship, I had an opportunity to work on legal privacy matters in-house and ended up staying my entire 3L year and continued after taking some time off to prep for the bar. So it's really felt like I was there at the start of the latest privacy movement, which began as the world was preparing for the revolutionary GDPR with its data subject rights, 72-hour breach notification requirement, and of course, the potential fines of up to 4% of global turnover.
Yes, what a tremendous practice to be in. Tell us a little bit about how has your career and your practice developed over the years?
So when I first started in privacy, it was very much understanding how the privacy framework actually works because GDPR was so new. Nobody really knew what GDPR compliance actually looked like in practice. So I started focusing on understanding the business and the products and the features to figure out how best to apply the new regulations to the existing business. Once I understood how privacy worked in a large, established, highly regulated industry, I took those learnings and worked in the M&A due diligence and integration space to apply my learnings to smaller companies where that we were interested in acquiring. I ended up enjoying the innovation happening at the startup world so much that I transitioned into my current role where I am today, leading all legal privacy issues for my current company.
Absolutely, that's awesome. How has your experience impacted your perspective on privacy with all these new and developing laws?
Since I started in fintech, where we almost never handle any children's data and am now in an industry focused mostly on children's data, it's been really interesting to see the shift in the regulatory space as well. So as we're all well aware, everything kind of started with GDPR on the other side of the pond. And we're now in a space where we're looking at various regulations in different states or in countries that are all based in some way off of GDPR. But as the general privacy space has received more attention in places where privacy was never really a concern before, the EU has actually started looking into other more specific and niche areas of privacy that weren't really a concern before, but are now gaining more attention. So for example, the UK's Age-Appropriate Design Code, which actually went into effect September 2021, sets out 15 different standards and explains how GDPR applies in the context of children using digital services and online services. It talks about ensuring the best interests of the child as the first principle and how organizations with services that use children's data should have built-in protections to allow children to explore and learn and play online in a safe manner. And again, we're seeing the same trend in California as well with their own version of Age-Appropriate Design Code. So it's been really interesting to see how the world has transitioned into a state where there's a lot of movement in the regulatory space in Europe, and the US is following suit as well.
Talk to us a little bit about, do you specialize in any area of privacy?
That's a really interesting question because I would say I specialize in being in-house privacy counsel. This means knowing enough about GDPR, CCPA, LGPD, and various state regulations, and knowing enough to be dangerous, but dealing it within an in-house role, meaning I think about how the products are working and how we are getting consent, whether the consent is sufficient in the different jurisdictions, or thinking about how we're handling incidents and whether we need to provide breach notifications to regulators or to users in case there is a breach, or thinking about it from a commercial perspective in terms of, do we have the right language in our contracts? Do we have the right DPAs? Do we have the right SECs? And when it comes to acquisitions, completing the due diligence for an acquisition and understanding whether they have the right privacy program in place, or if we need to work heavily on the privacy program to make sure that they are brought up to speed to a point that we're comfortable with them as a company that's acquiring them. So I would say my specialty is now working on a variety of issues that differ on a daily basis and issue spotting to figure out where our risks are and how we can mitigate for those risks, and how to explain to the business in a way that they can understand so we can make the right decision for the business as a team.
Sounds very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the privacy law section. So what brought you to the California Lawyers Association and the privacy law section?
I joined the California Lawyers Association back when I first passed the bar. Back then, there was a thing called California Young Lawyers Association, or CYLA, and it's really an offshoot of California Lawyers Association. It's been recently renamed to California Lawyers Association New Lawyers Section, or NLS, and it's a great opportunity for new lawyers because as a new lawyer, which is defined within the CLA as an attorney within their first 8 years of practice, so essentially after you first pass the bar, the first 8 years, you get a free membership to the NLS. I saw all the great resources they had, whether it's news articles, CLEs, networking opportunities, and at the time, privacy section was just a blip in someone's eye, and I really wanted to be more involved in California Lawyers Association as a whole. So I got involved in the NLS, or back then the CYLA, and when I heard that there was a privacy section that was getting created back in 2020, I jumped at the chance to apply to be an executive committee member for the new section.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are also a member of the XCom Committee. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
It's been an incredible experience seeing all these talented and whip-smart privacy experts spreading the word about privacy and making sure we have the resources for dealing with or following legislation, being educated on the new upcoming issues, networking opportunities, and much, much more. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing them work and an honor to work alongside them to raise privacy awareness.
Tell us a little bit about your role and your goals for the committee.
I'm on the partnership committee of the privacy law section of California Lawyers Association. I know that's a mouthful. And within the partnership committee, we recently helped set up a mentorship program with Santa Clara Law's privacy law certificate program. So we partner 2 experienced privacy attorneys with a law student and help them throughout their time in the certificate program, which is usually 3 semesters or 4 semesters, depending on when they actually apply for the program. This way, students can have contact with 2 different attorneys and have 2 different perspectives, and they're able to leverage their mentors however they need for resume reviews, interview practice, on-campus tours, or just building their network in general. We are in the works of working with USC's newly created privacy law student organization and providing them networking opportunities and mentorship opportunities as well. So my ultimate goal for the upcoming year is to have more in-person networking opportunities because I believe I'm not just speaking for myself when I say that we all have Zoom fatigue to a certain degree. So I want to make sure we have opportunities for folks in the privacy field to connect in person and bond over the fact that we've all been away from offices and away from other folks over the last 2 years, and we're now finally in a place we're ready to integrate back into society and meet people in real life again and make those real life connections once more.
So what do you want to see accomplished by the privacy law section, say in like 5 years?
In 5 years, I would love to see a larger member base because privacy is so important in everyone's day-to-day. User privacy is so incredibly critical because user personal data is essentially the new digital currency. I would love to see more educational and mentorship opportunities to help connect experienced privacy professionals and those who are interested in learning more about the field so we can have more awareness in the general population as well.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And I'm sure all the new budding lawyers will also appreciate having resources, as do others that practice in this space, like myself. This last question, we've talked a lot about your experience. You've told us about the privacy law section. Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of work.
Outside of work. This was a much easier question pre-pandemic because I would travel to see my family and travel for food. But over the last 2 years, when I wasn't working, I was trying to replicate food that I had while I was abroad by leveraging a lot of YouTube content creators and their fantastic recipes. But as the pandemic has been getting better and COVID numbers are decreasing, I've been traveling more within the state and still keeping my fingers crossed that we'll be able to travel internationally without having to quarantine for weeks on end relatively soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Hailun. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for indulging us. Take care.
Thank you so much.